Welcome back to Case Closed Anime Review, Episode 16. This is where I'm reviewing the 16th season of the series, which is 5 episodes. Yeah, 20. Like, actually, that's short. Yep, that's pretty much how long the season was. And this season covered episodes 466 to 490. Here's the thing about the season, why it took me a little bit longer than I expected to get the season. There are 4 episodes a season that are more than 30 minutes, 20 minutes long. The first one is 2 hours. Let's talk about these specials first. The first one comes at episode 279, where you have a 2-hour episode. Basically it's 2 cases. The first one about like a disappearing woman, and it turns out she would commit suicide by, well, basically the headmaster, the head monk, basically told her that she was a terrible mother and she abandoned her child, so she committed suicide because of terrible words. It's an okay case, but not that interesting. The second case is a little bit more interesting, where you have these high school detectives invited to this island. I should point out, though, 2 of the characters, at least 3 of the characters who appear in here, one of whom, this is his last appearance in the series. The other 2, this is the only appearance they ever make in the entire series. The first one I'm talking about is a character by the name of, if I can find him here. Believe it or not, this is a character from, and I'm not kidding about this, this is a character from Magikudo. Magic Kaido, the series where the Kaido Kids come from. Yeah, he's a recurring character from that series, and he's kind of the high school detective from that one, and he knows who the Kaido Kid really is. He's probably the only person outside of the detective's assistants who knows who this guy is. Yep. The other 2 characters, one of whom served the basis for another character that will appear later on. Yeah, one named Nagusi Kamasiko. A 20-year-old high school detective. Yep. And this is her only appearance in the entire series. Yeah, in the manga, this is the only case she's involved with. The other guy actually gets killed in the episode. Yeah, believe it or not, he does. Now, the other guy I'm talking about is Sagaru Hegabuya. He actually appeared once back in... The only appearance this guy made prior to this was back in episode 219. And that was also a 2-hour episode. Yep. Involving the boss of the Black Organization's mansion. Yep. And this is his last appearance in the series because apparently the writer just didn't bother to use him ever again. But it's nice, though, he reuses characters from Magikudo. I mean, he's probably the only character outside of the Inspector from that series and Magikudo himself who actually appears more than one episode of Case Closed. Yep. And this one involves like a murder, and it turns out the murderer is actually the female detective. Yeah, and get this, the reason why she killed him, because he made the incorrect deduction which caused her friend suicide. That's the reason why they got killed. Also, apparently she's responsible for smashing the radio. And the detective and the director from there was not, and this whole program, they're invited because of a reality show, because of a TV station. Turns out it was fake. It was a complete hoax. Yep. As for and she is implied she's one who started. They don't specifically say who was responsible for this, but they do confirm that she's one who killed the guy. But as for if she was one responsible for doing this particular case, who started this whole thing, it's never revealed at all who's responsible for setting this up. Yeah, that's one thing I don't like about this one. The other 4, believe it or not, are hour-long episodes. Yeah, the last 4 took me a while to get through. And the last 4 episodes, and the last one deals with a snow thing taking place like a few years prior to events of the series. Yeah, it's the only time in this series we have a case set on a snow mountain. They do the same thing at the start of the season off. They do the same thing at the end of the season. Yep. And this involves a case in the past. This case was okay. Yeah, a guy gets killed while on a lift. I'm not talking basically British slang, how they set up elevators. No, I'm talking about actually on a ski, to go skiing. I personally have never gone skiing before, so yeah, I don't know what I've outside of basically, I've only seen these things in, well, here anyways, and I've also seen them in live action. So these things are pretty much real. They pretty much take you up to the mountain so you can ski down. Yeah, a guy got killed on here. It turns out was the stuntman. Obviously, because he's got similar parents to him, so why the heck not? And the reason why he did it, because he killed off the other guy from 3 years prior. Yep, that's the only reason why. Yeah, but it was kind of the first unofficial movie between Jimmy Kudo and Harley. But they never really saw each other's faces, so there's that. Excuse me. The other 3 episodes, the first one is the 8th Metropolitan Police Love Story. This one was quite interesting, and the whole thing with, and it's called ring on left hand's ring finger. Yeah, and because of Saito's ring, it kind of loosely ties into the case itself. They don't reveal exactly what this ring is until the end of the episode, and it's Rachel's one who asks about it. Because the episode starts off with Saito just coming to the police station, wearing this ring. Never explains at that point what it is until the end of the episode. And then the guy comes in. All the guys get jealous because they think that he proposed to her, even though he never actually did. He knows nothing about the ring. It's like, when he sees the ring, that's the first time he's seen it. And he calls it a fictical case. And the whole case is basically about a writer who gets killed. And it was the writer. The other guy who was a writer, he was the one who killed him. And the reason why, because of another editor responsible, because he basically worked the guy to the bone and basically drove him to commit suicide. And the whole thing was over his ring. That was a key thing for this particular case. Yep, but as for the romance between Saito and Tagashi, it plays a minor role in this thing. I mean, here you basically see it briefly. There's implied moments here and there, small little moments. Yeah, out of all of them, this one has another one. The case is actually quite interesting. And the ring itself is a charm. That's what it is, a freaking charm. Yep. Yeah. Just like another one of these love stories. The love story itself plays a B. It's basically a B plot in this episode. Yeah, that's simply what it is. A lot of the time they usually loosely tie into what goes on, but yeah, it's a little more interesting. The one with Kaba. Next we have the devil of the TV station. We have a character who, I mean, the way he's dressed, it kind of reminds me of the band Kiss. Well, probably the Japan version of Kiss, except for called Demons. And suspect this guy killed this company's president. Well, his TV show president. And yep, he did. And the reason why? Because, well, he basically forced him to early retirement. And oh yeah, and apparently the guy was a heavy smoker. And here's kind of the thing: and he was able to remove his makeup very quickly and put it back on really quickly, thanks to using a ruler, a triangle ruler, and a black piece of paper, which basically caused a reflection. Like, okay, interesting. Though they also use a silver, which basically was blur, but yeah, so we put on no problem. And he points out though that the only part of his makeup that's easy to put on without the mirror is just, well, it's lipstick. And it turns out Mitch's sister actually is a big fan of his because the junior detective leads in this episode. And they play a small role, and yep, they proved that yep, he was the one responsible. And how he did is he disguised himself as a delivery man and basically stabbed the guy with this very interesting looking knife, which you see him using at the beginning of the episode. So this is not one of the cases where you actually do see the murder, but you don't see the murderer's face clearly. That's the weird thing about this episode. You don't see this guy's face clearly without his makeup on. I don't know if it's basically mysterious like that. It's one of the most weirdest aspects of this episode, but it's quite interesting. The next one is the third of the courtroom confrontation. And this one involves like a guy who is accused of running over 2 people. Turns out he's not the one responsible. It was actually his wife who he was going to divorce anyway. And yeah, his wife later on killed him. Yep. That's simply the gist of it. Yeah, and you get a little more development for the prosecutor, who only appears in this third of 4 courtroom confrontations. Oh, and by the way, these are all filler episodes, but these are good filler. And of course, Richard Moore decides to put on his deduction show. This is the third time he's done it in these particular. He's done it once every time. The last time he did it while sitting next to his estranged wife, but the first and this time he did it while on the witness stand. Yep. But it's an interesting little case. But now let's talk about the other episodes of the season. First, we start with two-parter. Yeah, one thing I should point out about this season, they really trimmed down on the two-parters. Yeah, because I know a lot of people are getting really tired of them, so they trimmed down on this season. And I should point out, not many episodes. No, not many. The first doesn't come until 468. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7. Yes, 7 filler episodes. Yeah, there's a lot more canon there is filler. The only case is a lot more, much more canon than filler. Yeah, this one involves the Eric Snowman. Yeah, one of these the group of friends gets killed, and it turns out it's the guy who was making the snowman, which apparently used salt to basically make the snow hard, and he basically kills her by strangling her, put her in a giant snowball he prepared, and rolled it down the hill. Yep. And yeah, found it pretty easily. And of course, Yakamura basically, yeah, this is one of his main appearances. I think this is his first time I can think of he's appeared in a two-parter I can think of, because mostly he appears in the first time in a while. I mean, at least he appears in a canon episode, because he's not one of those characters who also appear in filler episodes. Not much of the character in filler episodes. They had Mysterious Case Near the Pond. All about a alligator snapping turtle, and yes, these things do. I've never seen these in person, but yeah, these things do. The way they describe in this episode, it's pretty accurate to how they are in real life. They do in fact bite people, from what I've heard, and yeah, and the reason why that they're after these snapping turtles is because he wants this particular piece of paper because he robbed. Because he need this key. He actually this turtle swallowed a key and tried to get to this particular locker. Yep. And it turns out, yeah, he was a bank robber. Yeah. And one of the turtles belonged to this woman. Yep. And then we have a two-part involving the Kaido Kid. Yep. Because here's kind of the weird thing. The last couple times guys show up in the series, usually it's an hour-long special. This time it's a two-parter. Which, okay, that's interesting. And this one he's actually accused of killing somebody. Yeah, something that's never happened before. And it turns out, nope, he didn't kill him. It was actually the guy who actually hired Richard Moore to protect his painting. And yeah, Kyle Kid had very little to do with this case at all. Yeah. Yep. And then we have the Out of Control rental car. This one was quite interesting. This actually is a filler episode. I kind of wish it was canon because it was so interesting. Because there's a bomb in Richard Moore's car, and they had to basically get out. The episode itself kind of reminds me of the movie Speed. Yeah, it's like this is basically this show's take on the movie Speed. Those of you who know what Speed is, it's about this bomber. Basically, it's about a detective who tries to stop this bomb, who puts a bomb on a freaking public bus, and the bus has to be at a certain speed, and the way they have to do it is that, well, the driver gets taken out, so Sandra Bullock has to take over the wheel and drive this thing for a little while. And of course, the detective gets on board, and it turns out this bomber actually apparently killed himself at the start of the film. And the bus did later to explode, but luckily enough, they already evacuated the bus anyways, and the bus exploded and blew up a freaking plane. Yeah, and get this, the bomber knew nothing about this because, well, he was going to the bathroom. And he was watching reruns. Yep, he was watching reruns. Yeah, he was caught, and there's that. Of course, it did have a follow-up, but it wasn't as good as the original one. Yeah, that's basically what this episode was loosely in a nutshell. It was loosely inspired by Speed. Yep. Yeah. And we have Saito appear episode. She just drives one of these portable parking lots. My uncle actually drives these things, so I know what these things are. I've never seen him actually drive, but he does drive these things. These portable parking lots. You know, the thing transports a bunch of cars. Yeah, and she uses this thing to keep the car rolling while they defuse the bomb. And the reason why that the Bond wanted to kill Richard Moore, because apparently he thinks that he made the wrong deduction that caused his brother's death. Yep. He thinks he's responsible for murder. Yeah, it turns out he just committed suicide. Yep. That's simply the gist of it when it comes to this particular case, but it was quite interesting. Yeah, involved like a police action. It was probably the most action-packed episode for a filler. Then we have the childhood adventure. A two-parter. Which basically has seeing Jimmy and Rachel as children when they're in first grade. And of course, because it's Japanese, apparently we go to school in Japan, you have to address each other by your last name, which Rachel didn't want to do that, so she insisted that he needed to call her by her first name. He eventually did, and she still called him, well, it was Shichi in the sub, but in the dub, it's Jimmy. I've heard him as Jimmy, even though his actual name in Japanese is Shichi. I've heard him Jimmy because that's why they pronounce him in the dub. So there's that. Yeah, involving like a mysterious wallet case, and they think it's over like seeing like a sunset, but it turns out it was actually something else. Yeah, and the whole thing was basically set up by Jimmy's father, Bokudo. He's going to set this up. And we have a standalone episode for for Eva, Rachel's mom, thinking that, well, they had this whole thing of this is their anniversary of her first date, and just by sheer coincidence, the end of the episode is revealed that the outfit she's wearing this episode is actually the outfit she wore on her first date, and man, very revealing outfit. And they show her strange husband wearing the suit he wore on their first date. I'm like, man, did these two get married in the 70s? Because it's a 70s style suit. Yep. And turns out the reason why she went on sort of this date, and they were meeting with this veterinarian over this cat, and this cat is very similar to her strange husband. Yep. But it's a quite hilarious episode because she came to cat this cafe because it's a dog cafe, and she doesn't own the cat. Yep. Then we have Bad Luck Grand Prix, which I believe, yeah, this whole episode. Involving like a car running over people, and they think it's one of two people, and it turns out the person trying to commit the hit and run was actually the fiance of the old man's nephew. Well, he was one of the two who got run over. They think related to the unluckiest man in Japan, but nope, it was deal with the old man. Yep. And she broke a relationship with her, and I think he got charged with she got murder. Yep. And we have George's kill shot. Yeah, this one involved like an assault, and it turns out it was actually committed by one of the three people. And let's see, what reason why I did this? Oh yeah, loan shark. That's basically what this was about. Loans, stuff like that. It's an okay case. Not much to write home about, but it's quite interesting. And one of the few times they actually go to this, I think this is the same mall they went to in one of the previous cases. This is actually, I think it was similar one they went to the case involving the 4 Porsches. I think it's the same one. And we have Real 30 Minutes. Yeah, and it's all about like a murder, and it turns out they're trying to kill off this particular member of the Japanese diet. It turns out he's actually corrupt. Yep, and they arrest him on the spot for his corruption. Yep. And then we have the Yellow Alibi, all involving flowers. Yep. A woman gets killed, and she's killed by the man she loves. Why? Just to force him the marriage, just so she can pay off a debt. That's the reason why. Yep. Then we have the Mountain Witch's Cutlery. This one was quite an interesting one. One of those cases where a guy takes the Junior Detective League camping and gets a flat tire, stays at a place, murder happens. Of course, Yamamoto basically shows up. Yakumo shows up too, just by sheer coincidence. They're out in the frickin' mountains, and it turns out that one of the 3 people actually is her long lost grandson, who actually left her like 10 years prior, and it was actually one of the 2 women got killed, and she was killed by being stabbed. Yeah, it was over a comment she made, I think it was. Oh yeah, it was over her parents. They are the missing policeman. This is actually the last filler episode of the season. I've already covered 89. This is technically the last one we cover for the season. This one involved like a bogus policeman who does basically good, honest thing, despite the fact being a fake policeman. Yeah, and he doesn't get charged for posing as a policeman because he helped caught an actual thief. Yeah, and it turns out it was actually the guy who ran a ramen shop who actually got a scary face. That's the person behind all this. Oh, but the policeman, so he's not the killer. He's not the thief. Nope. And we have whereabouts of the dark photo. Yep. Yeah, this was a recurring like thing in this season where, oh yeah, and the whole thing with Harley 3 Days. This sets up a loose plot through which pays off in the current episodes I'm currently working on, where basically Harley is asked by Conan to investigate this kid, this teenager. I think his name is Udo. Ethan. Yeah, Ethan. Investigating his father because it's basically their city. They do find it about the company. Yeah, it's a CIA. They don't really find this out until next season. Yep. All about in particular. This is all about the missing photograph. Yep. And it turns out it was actually done by this other guy. There's like no murder here, but it's quite interesting little of a case. And the last one to talk about is Meko Nico, right to left. Yeah, this one is, I believe this is Kansas, right? Actually, this is the last. Yeah, this involves like a murder over I think it was like I think it was. Yeah, over like a clock, a flip clock. I've never seen things in real life, but these things do exist. Yep. And they find out because this clock has got blood on it, and the cat, and the reason why he killed the victim in this episode, because he was going to take away his shop. That's the reason why. Yep. And he covered up. He couldn't basically cover up 1259 having blood on it. And his cat basically sort of touched the evidence, but didn't contaminate the crime scene anyways. But yeah, it's quite an odd episode, but yeah, it's quite interesting. But yeah, that's particularly it for this particular season. Not much else to say. Interesting season. And oh, I forgot the adapted season. It adapted chapters 5 into 522, 544 to 547, 556 to 584, and 591 to 593. Now, here's kind of the strange thing. 594 is not adapted for the main series. They adapt that for an OVA. Yeah, I might cover that later, but yeah, I'm not sure why I did this for particularly. Maybe because there's only one chapter, and generally these episodes only adapt about 2 chapters an episode. That's probably the reason why I skipped over this one. Yeah, that's what I did. Yep. So that's it for this particular video. I got 3 more videos coming today, reviews of news episodes of Black Clover, along with new shows and manga, Fairy Tail dubbed, and of course One Punch Man. Expect to see videos later on today. Okay. But to see you next view. Bye.